What's going on, guys? Your boy Amazing here, back with another video. And in today's Duet video, guys, I wanted to do a video going over community feedback, as it's been a while since I've actually gotten you guys to give feedback for Duet. And so I made a community post about a day ago now at the time I'm recording this video, and I pretty much asked you guys give me feedback so that I can send this video that I'm posting right now to the developers so that they can see all the things that the community is looking for in terms of changes that can be better for the game overall. I mentioned here, I'm like, okay, I want to do a community feedback video for the developers, as I am in contact with creator staff for DNA, so I need your constructive feedback on what you think could be changed to better the game overall. Please make sure to give more general feedback instead of super specific issues, as those would be the most beneficial to the community as a whole. Again, guys, like, we are trying to do more generalistic like issues that should be fixed, more so than like my certain device has this issue, or you know, things like that, pretty much, right? You don't want like super niche things that would be fixed. We want more general things so that the overall landscape of the community feels better about the game, right? And so yeah, I made this community post about a day ago. We have a lot of comments and a lot of likes. So what I'm gonna do here is I'll just have a gameplay play on the screen the entire time, guys. I'll just put like some background footage. You guys can leave this on in the background if you just want to kind of listen to hear what I have to say. But I'm gonna be going through a lot of the comments here. I probably won't be able to get to every single one. There's like 90 comments on this video, but I'm gonna try my best to get through as many as possible, and we'll talk about a lot of the issues. And if there is overlap, then I'll probably skip over the you know, feedback in general, but we'll see exactly what it's all about. Alright, guys, so starting out with the first comment here, we have weapons need to be viable damage dealers. So again, the main criticism with Duet right now, I think in terms of like actual gameplay, is definitely gonna be weapons. I think weapons definitely need to feel a little bit stronger, and yes, there are certain weapons that obviously do feel good. You know, you have like Embla, you have like Fina's weapon, you have like the Guixu Ratchet, right? So there are definitely like weapons that can feel pretty good, but they're mostly for a character to improve the actual character's damage in general anyway. It's mostly just not even necessarily like a stat stick, but it's kind of just there to really improve the overall DPS of the character itself, and not necessarily the weapon itself. And so right now there isn't really too many weapons that you can run for DPS. I mean, there's like Momiji, I guess, for like Outsider, but again, Outsider is a weapon buffer, so he's able to actually like buff that a lot. But in general, there's not too many, you know, weapons that actually deal damage in the game, guys. And yeah, no, a few people are gonna say like even at later game, when you start to get some pretty good demon wedges on your weapons, they start to hit a little bit harder. But in general, it's not the greatest, and I think, you know, we need at least a better scaling of the weapon in general, and maybe some base stat increases, maybe some more crit chance, maybe some more trigger probability, maybe some more damage overall, maybe have it to where we can go above 100% trigger probability, proc multiple you know, status effects in a sense, you know, to kind of give you guys like an idea from like Warframe and stuff, right? There's a bunch of different things they can do with that, and I think, yeah, just any way that they can kind of buff weapons going into 1.1, I think would be great. Moving on, guys, we got a comment here talking about the dye system. So dye system should be more like Warframe, sell color palettes, let us experiment and change things up easier, don't be greedy. That's completely fair. I've been saying this, guys, like anytime we talk about things that have monetization from Warframe, these are things DNA should pick up on, because it's something where, you know, Warframe is already a proven method, you know what I mean? Everyone that plays Warframe that is a spender enjoys spending because they want to support the devs, and there are things like color palettes, like character skins and things like that to really make it feel good for the player base. And so yeah, I mean, I would not be opposed to buying a color palette if they set like a smoke color palette for like the grays and the blacks, or you know, if you run like I don't know, like a fire color palette, you have orange, red, and yellow, right? Like things like that, they can definitely do things like that, sell those color palettes. They can sell multiple color palettes at the end of the day. They don't have to do like a just one generalistic color palette. There's so many things they could do, and that's something that Warframe does. I think is something DNA should definitely adopt, because the dye system is really bad right now, where you can only buy one dye at a time, and you're not able to really, you know, actually customize the things you like in the game, really, because you just don't have enough of the actual dyes in the game. Yeah, and then moving on, make standard outfits colorable and have a team dedicated to making outfits even if they are basic, so just so we can have some variety between our characters. 100% agree. I think, look at Warframe again. You can literally change the colors of base Warframe. Even Prime Warframes, you can change the colors of them too. So if DNA had a way where we could just change a little bit of the color scheme of our base, you know, character outfits, even like hair color and stuff too. I think those are other things that they could definitely do to really just kind of, you know, change it up and just make it, you know, a lot more fun when you're playing with other people in the game. And you can just kind of show what you're kind of like, you know what I mean? That's how you kind of like show what type of player you are and what type of like look you like, you know? So I do think things like that are going to be really good and something that the devs should definitely look into. Adding a auto continue button, since leaving gives us rewards for what point that we're at anyway, it would be nice to be able to farm secret layer clues in level 30 exploration while I shower, make lunch, go for a walk, etc. I do enjoy the grind, but this would make the experience smoother and more friendlier perhaps, and that's completely fair too. You know, having it to where, again, I mentioned this even when we were on the nightcast with CJ and them, but like allow us to just like set a certain amount of waves that we can clear for sure, and have it to where it doesn't ask for commission manuals, it doesn't ask us to continue the stage, because it is just going to automatically continue the stage. And that would be great, because that would allow farming to be a lot more kind of AFK in a sense, at least for people in solo. I can understand in co-op that wouldn't be the greatest, but in solo, that's something that they could definitely do, especially if they're going to make secret layer clues such a hard thing to grind in the game. So I completely understand with that. And then make content more rewarding. I know we have secret layer drops that lower level content ends up better. Would be nice to have a reason to plus 10 all of our wedges and farm higher level content, but at the moment both Luno Memento and secret layer clue farming is the best in lower level content. Yeah, so pretty much have it to where scaling difficulty gets us more rewards. I think that's pretty much what Salo's trying to say there. But yeah, all really good points from him. I think that was a really good comment right there and kind of sums up pretty much most of the things that I think, you know, Duet definitely needs to improve the game. And yeah, no, that would obviously be really good overall in the game. All right, we got another comment here, guys. I think currently my biggest problem is just the balancing. I don't like feeling punished for not building the character in the game wants me to, or for choosing to do something like shoot my gun. The character balancing feels genuinely worse than a standard gacha. The gap between something like Outsider and Randy to stuff like Rebecca or Nightfall feels genuinely night and day. The weapons don't help. If this game wants to earnestly be more like Warframe in that way it handles this, I understand that there are frames that are better and those that are worse, but I rarely ever feel like I'm genuinely breaking myself by choosing to farm for the wrong frame. And that is a completely fair, you know, kind of statement to have. Balancing in the game definitely does need to be a lot better. I think if they were to really look at some of the characters that are not even really being used in Duet and Abyss, they probably have like the statistics on like what characters are being run, what characters are being least used. And so yeah, if you look at like characters like Randy, characters like Sybil, characters like Hellfire, even Yale and Oliver to an extent, you know, these are characters that are not really getting a lot of love in the game. And I think if they were to really, you know, kind of adjust some of the characters' kit, give them a little bit more, or maybe do a rebalance or a rework of what the character is able to do so we have different abilities, that could be really good, you know, because again, I do understand that people, you know, see like Nightfall and her I-60 goes super crazy, or they see like, you know, I6 Lin with like the ratchet and just melts a boss. So again, like there's always gonna be meta in games like this, guys, but they definitely need to introduce characters that are, or if they're gonna have characters already in the game, they need to be able to have characters feel like they're worth using, even if there are, you know, super meta characters in the game already. So again, like if we have a character like Randy right now, Randy, you put down a shield, you have to stay with the shield. Why can it not be like Volt, where, you know, you put down the shield and you can put it on Randy himself and you can still shoot through it, or you could actually move with it? I think that could be insane, you know what I mean? So things like that, if they either rework the characters kits a little bit, or if they add more to the characters kits, I think that could definitely help, guys. But yeah, again, character balancing right now is something that they definitely need to address, because there is a lot of worse characters in the game that just don't really get enough love versus characters like Nightfall, Lin, you know, etc., like in Rhythm, right? So definitely I do think they need to look at some of the older characters, and or not even older characters, well, the game came out already, like, you know, with all of them, but some of the characters that are weaker in a sense, right? They definitely need to adjust some of that. All right, guys, we got the next comment here. There is already a lot of really good suggestions, so I'll add one that I haven't seen yet. Add inertia to sliding. I basically never slide in this game because you can't gain any momentum from sliding down a hill or downstairs, and it feels counterintuitive and unfun though. And that is really good, right? That's a really good point right there. In my opinion, I do think that we need to have actual momentum when you're moving. If you guys play Chase and you actually break those like cubes and you actually do like a slide into a dash and you do like the bullet jump or the helix leap, you actually feel like you're gaining momentum, and that is something that I think Duet Abyss kind of lacks right now, and everyone is really just spamming the piercing ascent polearm dash because it's just so much faster right now than bullet jump in the game. And that's kind of crazy how right now we have a whole charge attack mechanic that is just faster than our actual movement, right? So that is something where I think if they want to really just improve the way the game feels in terms of movement, I think adding, yeah, like an inertia to sliding, like adding some type of momentum gain when we're moving through a stage. If you are moving really, really fast, you should be able to gain really fast momentum, especially if you're going down a hill or, doing things where you're kind of dashing through the air and you can kind of gain momentum. It's things like that that I think could really help. And yeah, no, like, that's definitely a very, very fair, feedback criticism that I think the game definitely needs, man, for sure. And then also, I think Hell here also says, please auto pick up items before a commission ends. It feels really bad to not automatically pick up everything left on the ground somewhere. And then, yeah, so again, that is another fair point too. I think if you're doing something like Chase, there's always going to be rooms where you just never picked up the loot. I think, yeah, if they had like some type of auto pickup at the very end, that could be nice. But again, that would make like Bro Boxy a little bit less valuable in the sense of like his auto pickup range. So I completely get that. But I think that's something where, you would kind of have to be in the range to pick up the resources. As long as you're in the range, then I think they should just let you automatically get all the rewards if you haven't already picked it up, right? I think that's something that they should definitely do. All right, guys, we got the next comment here from Kurito. Thank you. Here's my feedback. Make drops inside pickup range instantly looted. We talked about that already. Let us forge multiple copies of the same blueprint at once. I think that is a really good feedback change. Why is it possible to forge 100 copies of gold sand but not for weapons and wedges? To make a plus 10 wedge, you need to request the forge 10 times separately. It's really annoying, to be honest. I completely agree with that. Let us forge all 10 wedges at once, and then I'll wake up in the morning and all 10 will be done. That is something that definitely needs to be a thing. For endless commissions, exploration, defense, excavation, make an option to continue multiple ways instead of a row. We talked about that. Not sure if this is a personal issue, but certain areas in Ice Lake Sewers made my FPS drop to 1 digit. Yeah, there is some issues with that. And then make piercing ascent work properly in co-op in bounty commission Chase. Again, these are all things that I think have to do with like latency and lag in between kind of moving through like stages. So for sure, no, that is definitely something that I think needs to be adjusted. And yeah, just in general, like co-op experience, I think needs to feel a lot better, right? Like I think the co-op experience right now, it is good, but it could be so much better, man. Like in Warframe, it's so seamless. You hop into a lobby, super seamless. You're really never lagging unless a guy is just like really bad internet. Most of the time, it's just completely fine and it's super seamless. No issues with movement or anything like that. And so yeah, Duet and Abyss definitely has to optimize their co-op for sure, as that is something where you're getting a lot of lag, you're getting a lot of FPS drop, things like that. All right, guys, we got the next comment here from Soloed. He says, I got a few things in mind. Monetization, able to be directly buy the skin instead of gacha, or monetization, sorry. Able to gift the costumes, dye accessories instead of the same accessories a different color, base skin coloring, and more dabble parts all skins would be nice. Yep, so I do think that like the gacha for Psyche skin right now, guys, is something where a lot of people do feel kind of turned off from summoning on the gacha, especially with how much it's actually going to cost if you had to go to hard pity to actually get it. So I completely understand there, but then on the flip side, like people actually do want a free-to-play friendly gacha where they can still get some of the costumes like that without having to spend. So I completely understand that, but with the way that Duet and Abyss is structured, I think having a direct purchase method would just be better for the game's overall sustainability than a gacha system for outfits. It's just way better to tell the consumer, if you buy this outright, you get it, instead of saying you can pull on this gacha to have a chance at it. You know what I mean? So I do definitely think that for monetization, they definitely need to adjust that, and I think that could be something that they should definitely do, at least for just the general player base in general, to allow you be able to buy skins and costumes in general, just accessories, guys, and stuff, right? This is a really good comment right here that I did want to mention, guys, but Blacky says most of the stuff was covered by others that I had in mind, but for myself, the AI needs some reworks. And for example, sometimes Truffle doesn't heal at all while shooting with her weapon until she runs out of ammo. that is something where I think combat AI definitely does need to be adjusted for sure. Again, like truffle is an issue. You see Blackie says Daphne is spamming her ultimate all the time until she runs out of sanity, right? Things like that are going to be major things that I do think need to be adjusted. Changing how track shift modules work, making a special one that will have all symbols, or make it so we can have 4 track shift modules for 1 slot to make it universal. Also making fishing rewards not weekly, or a weekly not monthly. Add more options to get twilight threads per week. And yeah, I mean, these are all really good quality of life as things that I think we could definitely get. So for sure, I think everything Blackie's saying here is really good. And I think, yeah, we definitely do need a lot of adjustments like this for sure, you know. All right, we got a comment here from Zen here, guys. He says, I think DNA has been really great for the looter shooter scene, especially since it's often compared to Warframe. One thing I feel could really benefit a revisit would be looking into the immersive theater reward structure. I'm not asking for more secret letters for the new characters being released, but I feel like 50 tokens for 10 stars just feels incredibly slow when there's a lot of goodies in the shop. If they're going to be time restricted, we should be able to buy out the shop without having to spend hours of farming hundreds of immersive theater levels. It would add some variety to the content as well, and I understand it's a monthly shop, but taking extra time from other grinds is really just a detriment to farming at the current moment, and I completely agree with that. I think right now the system with immersive theater is really, it's not even like even for like an end game player really, because if you go to like act 60, act 100, right, you are getting a lot more of the ticket stubs, but it's hours and hours of grinding for that, guys. And I get, you know, that this game is a grind heavy game, but the way that the acts are structured to where you get fairly little reward per act, I think that is something that they definitely need to adjust. At least add, you know, Carming Globule, Luno Memento coins, other things that we can get while we are grinding that type of stage. I think that would definitely allow us to get more of a reason to actually push higher in acts of immersive theater. But also, I think right now they could definitely do like an acts 13 to 24 and have that be more of a difficult oriented content, right? If they really want something that's like somewhat difficult for the player base but not super rewarding to where, you know, most people that feel like they're at the end game get all of the like secret letters already, I think again, like that is something that they could definitely add and would actually improve the overall experience of the end game of Duet and Abyss. So yeah, again, the immersive theater is a big topic already, guys. We talked about it a lot on the Nightcast as well, but I think that is something that they definitely could do to improve the overall experience of immersive theater. All right, we got a comment here, guys, from Ahmed. He said probably just add more variety to farming. Like for coins, there's just excavation, add more commissions for it so it at least doesn't feel that repetitive. 100%. Add a system where, you know how like with covert commissions we have, you know, certain stages that are available every hour. Why don't we have that for our regular commissions? Why don't we have, you know, an exploration stage that gets you gold, or a defense stage that gets you Carming Globule, right? Or like a escort stage that gets you gold, or I don't know, like whatever other material, right? Luno Memento coins, right? So like things like that, though, it could be really good because it will allow you to like decide what type of hour you're farming for a certain thing. It's kind of like covert commissions in that sense, but you would also be able to farm a lot more efficiently for some different modes versus other modes, because things like relocation, it takes way too damn long for relocation, or even like a defense for some stages. I think having maybe like a dismantle for like Carming Globule, that would be super fast, or like dismantle for like gold. So people would definitely like look towards those certain stages when they're available and then actually grind that. I think that's a really good feedback that they could definitely do, and something that they should adjust so that people aren't just super bored out of their mind farming exploration, secret letter clues, farming on that, right? Like I think that is definitely a major thing they could change. All right, guys, we got a really good comment here from my boy Wheat. He says display stats more clearly, show attack percent, element percent, damage bonus percent in the character sheet, and allow us to check these stats mid-combat with buffs reflected in the character sheet. Be consistent in stat naming for weapons / wedges / skills. Maybe use tags which players can click on for a description of the stat. Example, Ambla in Florence shows that it gives skill damage, but it's actually a skill damage boost. It should be able to hover over and actually tell you exactly what a skill damage boost is, so that it doesn't actually affect Constant's weapon skills and it applies with skill damage. Or change the dual mod or other similar wedges to tag damage bonus, since we know only testing through increased damage is the same thing. Yeah, again, I think that is a really good feedback right there that they should definitely do, because you have things like, you know, again, like Embla Influence, right? you know, you had I think there's Tabitha, she has the skill damage, right? And it's a skill damage buff, and then she has skill damage boost. What's the difference between skill damage buff and skill damage boost? And then even like Ravaging Thunder, it has, you get increased skill damage dealt, but it's also giving you skill damage. Again, what is the difference, right? We need things in the game to really kind of specify exactly what is the major difference between these things like that. And I think that would definitely help for just more understanding of the game and being able to just kind of, you know, really delve into the nitty gritty of like testing damage percent, elements, all that type of stuff. And I think that could definitely help to really boost the overall experience of the game. All right, guys, we got another comment here from Ivana. I think the boss materials should not be locked behind weekly reset. The secret letters, yes, but the materials, no. I actually am a little bit torn between this. Like, I do understand the materials should not be locked behind weekly reset. I completely agree with that. But again, the secret letter system, like, do people like having secret letters of certain characters being locked behind weekly bosses? I think for now it's fine. But again, the resources should not be locked behind the weekly reset. If they are going to do that, make it so that we can at least farm the weekly and have a lower chance of actually dropping them. I think that could be a way to kind of suffice for us not being able to actually have the you know, the set amount that we get every single week, but it could allow us maybe to, you know, start farming the weekly bosses and getting the drops that way instead. You know what I mean? If we need a certain one, we can grind that certain weekly boss, and we'd only get the materials, let's say, and not the secret letters. The secret letters would only be through the weekly reset. I think that could be something that they definitely do if they're trying to go for a way where you're able to still get your resources you need. All right, guys, we got a comment here from Sonic Wave, and he says obviously a lot of the things he already mentioned, but the thing that I wanted to mention here is fixes and the ability to customize our controller on PC. Why do we not have controller customization for certain like buttons we press, guys? I am pressing the other trigger, or not trigger, like I think it's what, right bumper versus left bumper on Warframe and Duet and Abyss. It's opposite pretty much. I have one game where I'm sliding and doing the bullet jump with the I think it's the right bumper, and then the left bumpers for Warframe. So right there, it's kind of hard for me to play both games. You know, I would rather have it just be, give me the same kind of controller layout that I would have on Warframe, so I'm not mixed up when I go back on the other game. This is just like a very minor thing, but I think this is something that people would definitely appreciate, just you being able to choose what buttons you want for what, and that could definitely help. And even for like mobile, allow us to have a certain way to also configure your controls on mobile too, if it is a little bit harder to do it, and maybe make it so where you have things that kind of combine for certain kind of like button presses. So maybe you can have a button that auto does the bullet jump, and or maybe you could have a button that does your melee and then shoots, things like that. I think could be really good. All right, guys, we got a comment here from Yaya, and I want to make note of the last thing that he mentions. Lower tier demon wedges should be dropped by enemies at a low percent, like tier 1 and 2s should drop on enemies on a level 50 plus an account, and tier 3 should drop added at level 60, and so on. So we can actually convert low tier demon wedges into materials and higher tier at the same name ones. I think again, this should be for pretty much every resource in the game. Like, you should get a very minor amount of Luno Memento coins, of Carmine Globules, because if you look at Warframe, when I farm a survival stage, I'm not only getting the resource of the planet or whatever I'm farming there, I'm getting, you know, the void relics that I'm doing obviously as like secret layer clue farming in a sense, but I'm also getting just, you know, Endo, which is the Carmine Globule of this game. I'm getting gold, I'm getting everything that I'm farming naturally is just in the loot drop of the enemies. They need to add Carmine Globule, Luno Memento coins, be very, very low chances that drops, but have it be drops so that if I go in an endless stage, I have actually a reason to start farming not only just one resource, but I get the other resources along the way. And that could be definitely a way to kind of incentivize players to stay in longer stages and also increase the actual tier of reward we're getting the longer we're in, right? And even for things like demon wedges, why do we not drop demon wedges in regular stages? Especially since we have to go to that certain not to your stage to actually get the demon wedges. I think that is super annoying, and I would rather have it to where we can just literally farm whatever we're farming already, and then just have a chance at dropping those lower tier ones in general, right? I think that is a really good point, and I just wanted to mention that as well. I think that's really good. This is another really good point here, guys, from Cheese Blast. Reduce chase bounty loophole, or let me select the element that I'm hunting. I think that is a really good kind of point actually as well, because 6 weeks in and he's hit the 3 blueprints once and hasn't gotten a single Lumino blueprint at all. why is it that we have the weekly reward drop at a set like thing? Like, at least with like the weeklies on the bosses, we get to choose, okay, I'm gonna do level 50 of this weekly boss to get rhythm secret letters, or I'm doing the truffle secret letters, or the Guixu ratchet secret letters, right? With Chase, you do your weekly clear and it's a random drop at the blueprint that you're gonna get. So they definitely need to either add increased amount of drops for the overall blueprints as a whole, or make it so that you can select certain blueprints that you want to hunt for, and they would be either increased drop rate, or you would actually get those blueprints every single time you do your weekly clear, so you can choose certain ones that you want to start maxing out first versus other ones in the game. I think that would be a lot better, and overall would just improve the overall general experience of the game, in my opinion, guys. And yeah, like, I don't know why, like, Chase does not have that already, like, you know what I mean? Like, you get, like, 2 to 3 drops a week per run, and, or like, per, like, clear you do, and that's really nothing at the end of the day, right? You're not really getting a lot. Alright, guys, we got another comment here from, Dasyatis, and he says, the element DOT system needs to be reworked. It's completely useless at the moment. Yeah, so that is a major thing that I want to mention, too, is, like, in Duet and Abyss, what is the reason to have element DOT of Pyro, or what is the reason to have element DOT of Hydro, guys? Right? Obviously there's weapons that are going to be good with, you know, certain high trigger probability to actually proc that certain effect, but what is the reason to run that DOT when there's things like in Warframe where you have like viral damage, or you have like I don't know, corrosive damage, you have like different set elements and they do different things. Electricity does a different thing from Pyro. Pyro does a different thing from Hydro. Things like that need to be adjusted in this game to have you actually have a reason to use a certain element over another. If Electro had a really good effect for their element, that could be an indirect buff to some of the Electro characters in the game, like Randy, like Sybil. You know what I mean? Like, things like that need to be kind of adjusted, in my opinion, as I think the element DOT system, all it is when you apply bonus effect is you deal damage over time, damage over time, damage over time. I think the only ones that are unique are Lumino and Umbro, where they have either stance damage or like shield damage, I think. And then yeah, one of them is that it does more damage to HP. So yeah, like, again, things like that definitely do need to be adjusted, and I think if they are to kind of adjust those things and actually make each element have a different effect, I think that could be a really good solution as well. So yeah, guys, that pretty much covers a lot of the general content that people were kind of saying as feedback. Obviously there's a lot more comments to go through, and there's so many more that I haven't actually gone through as well, but I think this is like one of those things where, like, as much as I can provide here for the community, I will do. And yeah, I'm gonna have it be at this for the video here, and a lot of the points that everyone said were completely valid, and all the things pretty much that I wanted to really say, you guys covered all of it here, and me just kind of going through a lot of the comments here is able to really kind of convey what the community is feeling, and hopefully the devs do adjust a lot of these things. Now, if you guys want to comment down below on this video as well, feel free to comment on this video, as I will be sending this video to the developers. I'll let them know that not only the comments from this video, but also all the feedback from the actual video of me speaking in the video and in the post itself. I'll direct them to all this stuff. I'm gonna link it to all of them so that they are able to look at this stuff, guys, and hopefully we do get a lot of this feedback to actually make the game better overall. And yeah, thank you guys so much. Again, if you want to see more Duet and Abyss content, feel free to like and subscribe. You are here for your actual like Duet and Abyss content. So yeah, I'm gonna be like your go-to guy here, guys, for Duet and Abyss. I definitely think that if you're looking for that type of content, you're here to stay, and you can definitely watch from me. But yeah, that's going to be it for the video. I hope you guys did enjoy. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. But that's going to be it, and I'm gonna see you guys on the next one, man. Peace out. Have a good rest of your day, guys. See you later, man.